right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Equestrian Adult Amateur. Today, we have an amazing guest on.
So exciting.
So excited. We have Katie Armstrong with Building Better Hunters. And I'm just so honored to have you sitting across from us. I've been watching you on social media for feels like forever. And I love everything that you do and what you stand for. So go ahead and tell our audience who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started Building Better Hunters because I felt like that the hunter-jumper industry needed a better foundation for their young horses. I felt like we needed some people, like what we were just talking about, call it natural horsemanship. And sometimes people get like a little cheesy on that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's kind of goofy or whatever. And I don't know that I'm necessarily a natural horsemanship, but it is for sure horsemanship.
Mm-hmm.
And horsemanship is the foundational building blocks of how your horse is going to learn something before he goes into his career.
Mm-hmm.
And me growing up in the hunter-jumper industry, what I found was people were getting young horses and just putting them in the career.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted...
I did that.
Oh, right. Everybody's done it. I've done it.
That's how I learned.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done it as a young person. You know, I think we've all done it. All of us have come up under wonderful trainers, but maybe they did it that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll work with a lot of horses, and with a lot of horses you get holes in the training or big behavioral issues or, a myriad of things, right? They can go wrong, serious wrecks and things like that. And what I wanted to change was that culture in my little small corner of the world, and just say, what if we did this different? And what if I made this like an awareness campaign, that these young horses need their kindergarten. They need elementary school before they go to college.
Mm-hmm.
College is really what prepares you, your final step before your career, before your professionalism, right? A 3-year-old is not a professional. They're not. They're ABC 1, 2, 3. That's the deal. And when we look at other industries in the equestrian world, we see that. Not in every single one, but let's take the reiners, for example. And I'm not here to argue about the 2-year-olds going to the futurity and how hard they're ridden. That's not what I'm here to argue. But what I am here to argue is that you can look at some Western discipline 2- and 3-year-olds that know leagues more than, let's say, your stereotypical English horse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why is it that this Western horse loads on the trailer? Why isn't he kicking the farrier? Why isn't he striking you when you go to deworm him? Why can you catch him so easily? Why, when you go in the stall, does he turn and face you? Why isn't he pinning his ears and gnashing his teeth at the bars? Why? So what? And it's not because he's a quarter horse.
Mm-hmm.
Do genetics play a part? They can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that's not the sole reason. And I felt like in our hunter-jumper industry, maybe also, I'm just going to speak for that because I feel like that's speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for someone else, okay? But maybe a dressage person might see this in their barn, or maybe, a polo person may. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, on the English side of things, we see a lot of these ill behaviors in young horses. And when we look over here, we say, well, why can all of these horses do it? And it's because they're taught.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we have this theory of leave them in the field till they're 3, wrangle them, then let's just tie them up in the barn and put the saddle on.
Get on them.
Right. And whereas over here, these horses have been handled and very step-by-step, methodically taught in baby steps how to do small things, how to pick up their feet, how to take the halter on and off, things like that. We're just going to go out there and slap that halter on, drag him in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No mind that he doesn't lead. We don't care if he doesn't lead. Oh, he broke the cross ties again? That's normal. It shouldn't be. That should be so atypical. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It never crossed our mind the horse needs to be taught how to halter, taught how to lead, taught how to tie. And the reason that these Western horses, I'm just going to say, just to delineate, the reason these Western horses are so good at that is because they were taught step by step. From the day one they were handled, the expectation wasn't to already know about your halter. It was, I'm going to teach you about your halter. And every single thing that horse goes through, he's taught. Then he's taught to lead. He's taught to give to pressure. He's taught how to go in his stall. Does he run past your shoulder and bolt in the stall? No, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He's taught to back away. He's taught, and these are, this is just the first 30 seconds of putting the halter on the thing, right?
Right.
But these incremental steps are, the reason they're good at it is because they're taught that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the details aren't overlooked, and they're not drilled on. Maybe some people would say some things are drilled on later on. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the reason I wanted to become me in this way now, not just a hunter jumper trainer, but maybe a foundationalist, is because I wanted English horses to behave like Western horses.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't, and so like on my social media, something I'll say a lot is a Western foundation. I have to say that to delineate.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be Western foundation. It should just be foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
The horse's foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just happen to, the Western culture is that.
Is
Yeah.
foundational.
Is foundational.
Yeah.
It's,
Mhm.
he's going to be a good boy. He's going to respect me, but he's not going to fear me. I'm going to desensitize him. He's going to be relaxed, and I'm going to teach him as many things as I possibly can. And so that's why and how I came about with Building Better Hunters. As far as I guess why I kind of pivoted in my career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
And I think, you just sat down and we just got to the pleasure of meeting you. And I was giving you the backstory of what we knew and whatnot. And I think Alexis and I were both in the hunter world,
Yep.
and we both can solidly agree.
Heavy foundation.
Yeah. Well, that the hunter world just doesn't, hunter jumper world, I would say. And but I also would love to get your perspective. This is so a little off topic, but I just think it's an interesting conversation. Having horses come over from Europe
Yeah, that was my thought too.
is,
What
and
do they do?
because it's kind of like almost, it feels like we have no idea what goes on over there, right?
I don't think we do. No.
And I don't know if we want to know. But because I've heard different things, but they come, and it's kind of like racehorses too.
Mhm.
That's kind of also like a big unknown of how they do it, or what, I just don't know, like how it happens, how they train these babies, because I have an off the track thoroughbred, and he was very desensitized when I got him. I don't know if that's the normal, but either way, I feel like it's a lot of the horses that come out of the US and come out of, that world that feel to have the most problems, that feel like the US just doesn't have the foundation, and they just don't know. And
I kind of feel like the horses that come from Europe don't have a foundation either. They just, those are 3 and 4-year-olds that are jumping around. My horse in Europe would be jumping around, swapping his leads,
Yeah.
doing all the things now, whereas I've gone slower and gotten a really slow foundation on him. Are
Mhm.
they doing the foundational work?
I don't know. I would say probably, I don't know. I truly
have
have
you
no
seen?
idea.
So I see both. Certainly there's plenty of horses in the U.S. that don't have a foundation. Me personally, now, and this is just me.
Your experience.
I'm not speaking for other trainers. I've done about 83-ish horses in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as far as
Dang.
starting
Yeah.
horses and doing rehabs. Rehabs are problem horses. I haven't had a single import that was good.
Yeah, I would
I
say that.
I haven't had a single import that had a clue. Most of them actually are aggressive.
So would you
Because
say
they go straight to work.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't know.
We don't know,
That would
yeah.
be our guess.
Yeah.
But it could be, when we look at things like aggression, and I want to speak about true aggression. A horse that will run at you like a bull with its mouth open. Okay, like aggressive,
Yeah.
predatory behavior, and the horse should not be a predator. They can be pushy and they can be kind of dicks, but
Mhm.
true predatory, bear-like, tiger-like behavior. I see that a lot more often in the imports.
Really?
Yes, and
I could see that.
And again, I'm just speaking for me.
That makes sense,
and I'm not saying all imports are bad.
Yeah,
We
no,
need to import
yeah.
horses. They're
100%.
Have I worked with a ton of nice ones? For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I mean, do I import? Yes. I mean, I'm not saying no on imports. I'm just saying that and I can speak over the last 30 some odd years that I've just been riding. Okay. The aggressive horses still lean import heavy. Have there been a couple of U.S. bred? Well, sure. But and so for me, I look at the gene pool there because European genetics are different, and they've kind of had the game on that on America for a long time. Have we caught up? Are we catching up? Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, we're breeding some really, really high end, upper level true athletes now that are going to be contenders internationally. So like I think America's doing a really great job, and even some of our breeders here in the Southeast are doing a really great job. But Europe has kind of led in that category for a long time. And we know that when you get an animal, the horse is supposed to be a prey animal and he does something very, very different. He has a predatory instinct. That's usually going to be a genetic something.
Interesting.
Right? So that's because that's like really core. So his primal instinct is not evolutionarily what it was supposed to be. So something's changed along the way.
Interesting.
Right.
So it's bred.
Does that make sense?
that makes total
essentially
sense.
like bred into them down the line that their line comes from, essentially.
Now, can that be fixed and can it be helped? Absolutely. I mean, I deal with, especially if they get to me really young.
Yeah.
I like to think it's a very slim chance that a yearling comes to me that I can't really change his life.
Yeah.
Let's say he's on the road to being a real lemon,
Yeah.
but at a year old, I can really change his life.
Yeah.
Now, he comes at 10, you're probably looking at something more like what you were speaking about earlier. If they practice man-eating for 10 years, that's
harder to break.
That's nearly impossible to really eradicate that behavior.
Yeah.
You have one come out, some of them come out of the womb with their ears pinned, okay?
Yeah.
And if you handle that foal and give him good foundation, you would be surprised how much of that can be changed and curbed in a horse through just environment and proper boundary. But if you let him go out there and say, well, he came out with his ears pinned and I'm going to let him bite and kick everything and everybody until he's 4 when it's time to ride him, well, that's what he thinks he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So you're already kind of behind the ball. But that kind of goes back to what I was speaking about a little earlier. Sometimes in our hunter jumper industry, we go at it a little late. We kind of wait till that 3 and 4 years old before we want to learn about what their personality is.
Yeah.
When, if possible, if we can get our hands on them a little younger and say, what are you like?
Yeah.
What do you need help with?
Yeah.
Are you upset about something? Do you have some anger? Do you need to go to therapy?
Right.
Like, what is it? What boundaries are you going to need? And, you'll have 50% of them that are just quiet and don't seem to need anything. And that's all good and dandy. But checking in with your young horses to be like, do you have something glaringly obvious wrong with your personality?
Yeah.
We want to know that as early as possible.
Yeah. And I think I can speak to that so much. I mean, when, I mentioned that we bought baby horses together. We bought appendixes. Ollie was 3, Ivan was 2. They had 30 days under saddle at a great quarter horse breeder in South Carolina. And they had some really great foundational.
They had great
foundation. But Ollie is a little bit more of a worrier. He has a little bit more natural anxiety that's kind of built into him than Ivan did. And so there were a couple periods of time that, I'd mentioned that Kevin Hunter has been a big part of our, journey and whatnot. And he helped me do all types of foundational work with Ollie. So I knew that he had that, core and he had that foundation. But when not that we ever stopped doing it, but Kevin moved and we got into heavier training and we were learning lead changes and just getting into, more rigorous work. And we went to a facility locally that where he, for the first time, really got professionally ridden 3 to 4 times a week. And it was a lot for him. He kind of went from being like an amateur horse and just kind of like, you know, he would get professional rides, but nothing as consistent as what he was getting. And it kind of shook him and it mentally changed him.
It like unraveled his brain.
Yeah. So that when I went to, or the trainer would go to get on, he was full of stress and anxiety. And so every time I caught on to this, and he would do things like he started like in the ring would like pace the fence. And I was like, this is weird. Like, this is not like, he's 90% of the time he's very level-headed, chill. But I started noticing these behavioral things that were just kind of worrisome. So I started doing groundwork every time. Every single professional ride, I would get there before and I would do groundwork and I would get back to that foundation, and it completely changed everything. Right. Completely changed his brain. He got back to his normal self, and it was really like, I have always found that, you know, that foundation to be really important, but it really at that moment I really realized, especially when you have a sensitive horse like he is, how much it can change everything about your animal.
For sure.
So I just like, again, I just commend everything that you're doing. I think it's just the coolest thing ever. So tell us about your program. How does one, like you said, you get them from
like
babies
what's your bread and butter? Babies or problem horses that
all
need
the above.
rehab? Like what's your
and what do you like working
started?
with the most?
Okay. All right. So we'll start with the bread and butter. My bread and butter is truly colt starting.
Okay.
So, 2 and 3 year olds coming in for their, what we call their foundational groundwork and their first 30 days of riding. Then typically those horses are turned back out and to grow, it's just it's 2 or 3 months of training. I do quite a bit though of rehab horses, problem horses. And I try to speak very honestly with owners about that before they come. I don't like to take them older than 10 because now I will, if somebody really begs me after I have
it's a good fit.
After I have this conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because I just really want people to understand, especially if the horse is having a very severe problem, the likelihood of it going away totally is slim after a certain age because the horse has practiced doing it his entire life. And I explain that like this. Okay, let's say that the horse is bucked 5 times. We're just going to use easy numbers. Okay. Yeah. Let's say the horse is bucked 5 times. I need to make that correction 10 times to tip the scale. Okay, because if I correct him 5, so if he bucks 5 and I correct him 5, well, we're just broke even.
Yeah.
We haven't progressed. Okay, let's say he's bucked 1,000 times.
Oh,
okay, because he's been doing it 10, 12 years.
Yeah, right.
Okay, it's almost impossible to get that much correction. Now, there's going to be plenty of professionals out here that are going, "Oh my gosh, no, that's fine. That horse will never buck again." I'm more specifically talking about not for a professional to go back and ride, because a lot of times the professional can have many good rides on it once the horse is straightened out a bit, right? But I'm talking about for an amateur. I'm trying to produce horses for amateurs, right? And an amateur rescues a horse or something like that happens, right? Yeah. And this horse he's 12, 13 years old. He's got this huge hole in his training. He's got these big reactive behaviors and things like that. And what the point I'm trying to make on correction here is that a trainer can't, there's just not enough time in the horse's lifespan, right, to get enough corrections done where we're correcting the behavior, give the horse the solution to tip the scales over to progress, right, where now we've corrected it more than the mistake has been made.
What if they're not ridden, like somebody just tosses him out again in a field and they're like, oh, well, he does this bad behavior, I'm just going to toss him out and try, and you pull him back out and they're older, does that tip the scales too? Because they haven't practiced the behavior?
They just go back to the last thing they remember.
Okay, so they still...
Right. Okay. And so again, what I'm talking about is a lot of, because some professionals send me horses and they're like, hey, fix this. And I can definitely, even if the horse is a little bit older, I can get that horse on the right path and he's going to go back. A professional is going to ride him every single day. He's going to be in a good work program. They're going to have minimal problem.
Mm-hmm.
But to get that same older horse to where an amateur can ride him just 3 days a week with no professional help, I'm just very honest with people. That's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to because this costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say, hey, pay me X, Y, and Z, and I'm selling you snake oil. You know,
Yeah,
like I don't
right.
want to be that person. All we have in this industry is our reputation. All of us.
Yeah.
All of us. And
Yeah.
I have to say, this might work
Yeah.
with certain horses. You know, this might work. And
Yeah.
it's going to highly depend on you, your trainer, and the consistency, hands down. And again, we're talking about older horses with severe problems.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't mean that to be discouraging. I'm not saying that horses can't be helped. That's not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes you guys know, you've probably spoken with other people, their expectation is like a little unrealistic on something that's been
Completely.
eating people for 20 years.
Yeah.
Completely.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, occasionally I'll get the request, my horse is 22 years old. Oh my God, just retire him. Just turn him
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
You know, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there is, I mean, I think there's a big enough window for sure to help an older horse, a trained horse, a horse that's been in his career for quite some time. And our expectation just needs to be reasonable. And we have to understand the work or the consistency that he's going to need when he goes back home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it goes with the
Rehab.
with the rehab horses. And then I think the third question was, what do I most enjoy?
Yeah.
You know, I really like having the yearlings. And usually what happens with that, if a yearling comes in or a weanling, I usually have them through different schools. So I'll do a little work with them, send them home. When I send them home, I call it send them on vacation, but they're really
Yeah.
at home with their mom, right? And then they'll come back. And I usually have those types through their 4-year-old year.
Wow.
And that is so fun, y'all. It is so fun to have these well-mannered babies, you know, these Grand Prix bred warm bloods looking there like little freaks, these little athletic freaks, you know, and they're standing around like stock horses and they're loading in the trailer and they're standing for the farrier, and it makes my heart swell, you know. And then when I get to, you know, by the time they're 3 and I do their first ride and they're loping around in a hackamore, and I know in 2 or 3 years they're going to do a derby, and they're not out there doing that stereotypical bullshit that you see others doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, where, well, he's been sedated for the farrier since he was 3,
Oh, God.
you know, and well, my farrier quit. I'm so mad at my farrier because he quit. I mean, he only kicked him one time. That's ridiculous. Like, shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. Seriously.
Yeah,
I can't
literally.
stand it.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot stand it. Owners not respecting the other professionals that work with them, your farrier, your vet, your chiropractor, whoever you got coming.
Mm-hmm.
If your horse is dangerous, number 1, tell them. Number
Yeah.
2, get it trained.
It's disrespectful to
It's
the.
disrespectful. It
so
is-
disrespectful.
It is so disrespectful, and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
So we have some horses in the barn that I've heard of that they do require drugging for the farrier. What is that? Why? What? Like what?
Why do you
Why?
mean, like, why do they drug
Why
them?
are they
no,
dr-
why do they need that?
Oh.
Like
because they
what-
don't know how to stand. They weren't taught to pick up their feet without hurting someone. So they hurt.
And one's a
farrier.
mare, so they're like, oh, well, she's just a bitchy mare.
People love to say that. So there's this old joke. This has been around, I don't know, forever. I think I heard it the first time in the 90s. And it was, if you can't ride your mare, it's because she's a mare. And if you can't ride your gelding, it's because you can't ride.
I've heard
Okay,
that.
so like you know, like
Yeah.
that's an old horseman's joke.
Yeah.
But the point is that, you know, an ill-mannered horse is an ill-mannered horse. Mare, gelding, I mean, the worst horse I've ever ridden was a gelding. So, like, well, what does
Yeah.
that say about him?
Yeah.
What does that say
Yeah.
about him? Does that,
Yeah.
that just mean I just can't ride? You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to your
It starts
point.
early on, and they just get away with it.
Well, it starts because they're not taught.
Yeah.
They weren't taught. They weren't taught how to pick up their. They weren't taught how to pick up their feet. They weren't taught how to tie. And then you put them in a very small space, claustrophobic. Okay, you restricted him, and then you started picking up his legs, and he's gonna say absolutely not.
Yeah.
And some of it starts with, even if they're not a mean horse, not something that wants to strike and kick. They go to try to stand on 3 legs. They've never done that before. They're off balance. They go to put their foot down. It slams down. The cross tie catches them. Then they freak out like this. Then oh my God, then they've broken the cross tie. It's this whole chain reaction. And it all starts with the horse didn't know how to tie in the first place.
Yeah.
Truly.
I also feel like you'll have like some of those old school trainers though that are like, amateurs should not have a young horse.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
definitely have been told that in the past, and I was like, well, I just bought a 2-year-old, so cool,
And I can be honest with both of you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still, I am a hunter jumper trainer sitting here in my cowboy hat.
Yeah.
But that's what I identify
Yeah.
as, I think, even though I don't look like that. And I'm loping these colts around the Western saddle, but all I'm thinking about is the rhythm to the jump, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it goes
100%.
together.
Yeah.
So,
And that is so valuable. Let me just say.
Yeah.
Still, like, me being a trainer, it's still my preference, those old school ways for amateurs to be with their trainers.
Mhm.
Everyone I'll just speak for myself, maybe other trainers as well. We're having to get used to this amateurs hauling in. Okay,
Yeah.
what's happening at home? Oh boy, I hope that's going to be okay. I hope the horse doesn't come unraveled. I
Yeah.
hope, all of those things. I still, maybe stuck in my ways on that, but I still have a very strong preference for the amateur and the horse to be in my barn.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Under my care, me working with that person. I try not to just, stiff arm everything, and be like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But, but there is a shift where, I mean, I'm trying to kind of think about my client list right now, and how, I mean, at least half of them are amateurs.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are working with a trainer, some of them are not.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's a little, maybe you guys haven't thought about, but something that I think about constantly is, if an amateur sends me their horse, but they're working with their trainer at home, so their home hunter jumper trainer,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to step on those toes.
Yeah.
Because what
It's
I'm doing
uncomfortable.
is very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. And I'm not trying to change anybody's program, because,
Mhm.
I got a big respect factor for all the other professionals in my,
Mhm.
not just vets and farriers like I spoke about earlier, but other trainers as well. I mean, big time respect for these people and the programs that they've built and the blood,
For
sweat, and
sure.
tears that they've gone through. And so we're all trying to navigate, I think, as professionals, what you guys are doing sometimes. You know
Yeah,
what
they're
I'm
like,
saying?
what are they doing?
Because we love you.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing.
We'd be crazy
There's
though.
nothing
Yeah.
more enjoyable than an adult amateur.
Yeah.
Y'all make us laugh. You're goofy. We don't know if you're going to cry that day, or
Yeah,
or
pretty
if you're gonna
much.
or if you're gonna bring us a mimosa that morning, and we're
Yeah.
gonna have the best day ever.
Yeah.
Or you guys say the funniest stuff. I mean, we love you. And then other times, you're kind of like herding cats, and it's all just it's an enjoyable experience. I love my adult amateurs. I love my college students, my adult amateurs. I just they make my day. They bring
Yeah.
a lot of joy to my day.
Yeah.
So, but there's a learning curve right now in this new era. And especially then you throw me in, which I'm very niche. I'm kind of the only person I know really doing what I do,
Mm-hmm.
where, we're at the hit circuit, but I start colts.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
I would agree.
You
Nobody.
know
I don't
what I'm
know
saying?
one.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of this standalone. And then, and again, going back to what I was saying, I don't want to step on anyone's toes over how this young horse is going to go back into that original hunter jumper program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say, this is what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I have this little spiel. I would say, this is what I would do. This is what is really going to benefit your horse on a groundwork basis and on a daily basis. Like, these are the exercises that I would do. I said, but first and foremost, you listen to your trainer. That's very important to me, that they understand that. Like, I appreciate that they came to me, they respect me, they respect my program, they like what I do, they wanted me to train that horse. I love that. It makes me very honored. I love that. But when that horse goes home, that's what I tell those amateurs. I say, you listen, like a mama, you listen to your trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've done this and I can make this suggestion. And if anybody wants to reach out and you or your trainer and ask me questions or do tune-ups, I'm very happy to do that. But don't get over there and say, Katie said. Don't do that. That's rude. Okay,
Yeah.
like, you're at home in your home program, and that trainer is going to help you develop this horse, the finishing part, into its career.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be something that you guys haven't thought about, but I think about all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be, I
They
don't
go
want to
home.
come across
Yeah.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And our trainer, Hannah Bedwell Stone, is our trainer, and I feel like she comes to my house twice a week, so I never feel alone. She knows what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I do think that.
Does she really?
Did you jump by yourself when she was out of town?
I did.
She jumped by herself when she was out of town.
I did jump by
Alone.
myself.
I think you're tattletelling now.
Alone.
Okay, I wasn't alone. There was somebody there that if I fell, they would know.
Okay.
Anyways,
Like a dog that can call 911?
Yeah.
Or a
no,
real person?
like a
Like-
human.
Yeah.
They were building my barn, but they were watching.
A construction worker.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Not a medical professional.
See.
Well, Hannah's not a medical. Anyways, so I definitely think that there's so many variety of different reasons why I think that shift is happening too. Like, I think that just from the experiences that we've had, like having this show, we got heat one time because we titled the episode our adult amateurs the problem in the horse world, because amateurs get labeled, like trainers love, it's like this constant battle, I feel like, between trainers and amateurs, and they have all these like different opinions about us, we have opinions about them, and it's just like this bickering that seems to happen. So
It's more like a love-hate, because again,
Love-hate.
you're like, I love my amateurs, they're so funny, they're hilarious, but are they going to cry today?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to be a pain in my ass today? I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is who we are.
yeah, and I do think that when you're talking about something as sensitive as building these horses that we're going to sit on and like be safe on, I mean, that's serious.
That's a big
It's
responsibility.
It's like dead dog serious.
It
to
is
me.
dead dog serious. And
Yes.
so, I think that, and I'm sure, because you're coming to my house after this, and it's going to be so, I always love doing this because, like, it's kind of like Josh and I talk about when we see other creatives, we see other videographers, photographers, and you're always like, they say their work is good, but like, is it though? It's kind of like probably the same feeling of like, you're probably like, I have no idea what I'm about to walk into.
We never
like,
do.
And like, I just imagine like, all those scenarios of you getting these horses and the amateur calling you and saying like, this is what my horse does, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
And then it's
And then
totally
you get
different.
it, and you're like,
This is not what I thought.
they're not matching, but that's okay, right?
You don't have to do this very long. No trainer, whether you're just teaching lessons or you going to the horse show, or whether you're starting colts, you don't have to do this very long to know that the amateurs. This is what the amateur's going to tell you. He's so sweet.
He's really sweet.
He's really sweet. That you're going to hear that 100% of the time. Then there's going to be something that follows that. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, it'll go but, and then you'll hear the man-eating behavior.
Yes.
Okay. If you're unlucky, you're just going to go, you know what?
Find
He's
out
going to get
myself.
here, and I'm going to treat him as if he's a Mustang, like a blank slate. I'm going to treat him as if he's going to do every wrong thing Okay, and not in a negative sense on the horse. Just you're gonna be aware. You're gonna be very aware because you can't think of enough questions to ask the amateur. You can't. Like, you can ask basic stuff. Okay, so he's really sweet. Okay, so he doesn't bite. Oh, well, yeah, he bites.
Oh, well, he does do that sometimes when I give him treats.
Right. But only if
Yeah.
he doesn't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, really? And what would that be? Well, if you put his halter on wrong, okay. Like, and you can't think of enough questions to say, okay, how many other scenarios are there where this thing, rips your shirt off? Right,
Yeah.
unlimited.
Yeah.
It could be unlimited possibilities. So 100% of the time, the problem horse that's coming to you is he's so sweet.
He's so
He's-
sweet.
He's really sweet. Now, my favorite thing to do, because I like to cut up and and I mean, I don't know. I think I have a good sense of humor. So I'll say, okay. And a sweet horse, I mean, since he's so sweet, he definitely doesn't kick. Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to kick, and there'll be this scenario.
Yeah.
You're
And
like,
then
why
I'll
is he coming to me if he's so sweet?
Well,
Right, right. And then, they'll list off all these things. And anyway, and I'll say, so I think that your definition of a sweet horse and my definition of a sweet horse might be different. Can you tell me what's sweet about him? And they'll go, he's pretty.
He's cute.
That's it.
He's cute.
He's cute. And I'll go.
Is this real? Do people really say this?
Yes.
Uh,
I would say Chocolate all day is so cute, so sweet, but he acts like a stallion sometimes.
These are the conversations that trainers had. And again, not just colt starters. I mean, you get any trainer on here
Yeah.
and say the amateur's coming in with their horse. Like, I live in a college town, so I get horses from all over the United States to, come down. They come to Auburn to go to school. They bring their horse. We horse show. Okay. They're coming from, so yes, they're coming from all over, and it's always the same. Oh, he's great. Oh, he's great.
I could tell you lots that are wrong with mine.
I could too. With Ivan, like, he's
Where
pushy.
the holes are.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shy at all. I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that this is a message to all of the amateurs, all you
Don't
amateurs
lie.
out there. Stop lying.
Stop lying.
Well, it's the swapping the adjective. He's cute. He can be pretty, cute, shiny, the winner. He can be all that. See, those mean one thing. Sweet means something different. Gentle, sweet, those things mean something different.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that he doesn't do a dangerous behavior. And if I could just note on this, dangerous behavior.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what that is.
See, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go right there. A
Being-
lot of people, when we're raised around horses that don't have a foundation, we're very used to horses that are sedated for the vet or farrier, or sedated to get on the horse trailer, or sedated. I mean, sometimes, we know it happens, sometimes sedated just to ride. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it definitely happens.
And it's because we've come up in our culture, what we were raised in was that's what horses do. Horses, they kick, bite, and buck. And they can do that to us every day, and we don't see it as a dangerous behavior. When, before we started today, when I was talking about when I got kicked at that derby at the horse show, they thought I was going to bleed out right there. Kicking is a dangerous behavior. If your horse kicks, it is a dangerous behavior. Anything, he's 1,200 pounds, anything he does, if he mows you down with his teeth and then puts his front feet on you and tramples over your body, that pushy behavior, that is a dangerous behavior.
What if they're pushy but not like
It doesn't matter.
What do you think the next step will be?
Like, doesn't matter.
like too close to you, like
So-
sweet but in your purse, in your bubble?
No. Sorry.
Right. Well, I don't tolerate that, but
That's
most
dangerous.
amateurs do. Most amateurs want them very close, like a dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need help with that.
Yeah.
I'm next. I have a question. Because
Okay.
this is something that Anna does, who we're going to go see. She is sweet. She's
is
like a
sweet.
dog.
Yeah.
But she is way too up in your shit.
That's how
and
mine
that was
is.
the first thing I noticed when I got her. And I was like, you need to get the
fuck away from me.
Like, I love you, but like, I have got to have my space. So we have
It's
been
not like
super working
ears
on
back,
that.
mouth open.
It doesn't
But it's
matter.
just no, I know. I'm saying for like mine and yours, like they're really sweet, but they are like mommy, mommy. And I'm like, how does that?
And they're too big to be mommy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And
hers
it's like
is huge.
Yeah.
It's like an elephant.
And I've done a lot of like natural horsemanship but that piece I've never figured out how to like
Well, you haven't really worked on it.
go away.
Yeah, you've never told him to go away.
We have some. Okay, I'm being
Anyways,
amateur.
so like,
#amateur.
Yeah.
but
love
I
it.
mean,
I'm gonna send him.
I love it.
yeah, but it's just like, I think I got in a bit of a tiff on the internet. Whatever I did, and because, not that I even want to get into it, but like, there was somebody that was displaying dangerous behavior. And she got reamed or she was correcting dangerous behavior, got reamed for it on the internet, and then people were mocking her for it,
Saying that she was abusing the
she
horse.
was abusive.
We will fight that for the rest of our
And
life.
I got pissed and I went to the comments, started this whole big thing, right? So then I just kind of died on that hill because people were saying that it was a cop-out to call it a safety issue. And I swear, you know, the universe works in crazy ways sometimes. So while this is all going on, I get on social media and I see a girl that turns her horse out. She just turns it out, lets the halter go, and it runs and it kicks out and kicks her square in the face, and she gets leveled. I don't know what happens. The video cuts off, right?
Right.
So I go back to, you know, the comments, and I'm like, you guys, like, if you want, why don't we get that girl? I'll try to find her. I don't know if she's still alive, but I'll get her on the podcast, and you can sit here and tell her that that's safety is a cop out.
Right.
You know, like, it's not going so. And I was watering one day. This is how quickly things can happen. I was watering one day, and I was just out in the pasture, and my horses were all in my shit, being all cute. They were playing in the water. Next thing you know, a fly came, and I was bent down, and Sonny went like this for a bug, slammed his head into mine, and I almost got knocked out. And that's when I was like, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
Like, it just happens so
It happens in an
fast.
instant.
Yeah.
And you don't even, like, I never would have thought that would happen so quickly.
I mean, it happens. It happens
And that's,
every day.
yeah.
Every day, someone is really hurt by a horse. Sometimes just
That
being
didn't
a
mean
horse.
to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are filling up a water trough in the paddock, and the horse goes to swat a fly. Just their pure size, we're in too close proximity, and we can get hurt. In other cases, the horse is being ill behaved.
Right.
Right. So I always say we can get hurt with the best ones. They're
Yeah.
not trying to, but it just an
They're
accident
just bigger
happens.
Yeah.
things, truly.
So we have to make, because of that, because we can just get hurt just existing with
Yeah.
these creatures, then we have to make sure that we definitely aren't creating bad habits, or not allowing them to get past that boundary, not allowing them to start shooting through the gate and kicking up and bucking out, taking off out of their halter, and us getting kicked in the face or in the chest or, you
Wherever.
know, whatever.
I mean, that's life ending,
It,
you know?
it
Like,
is.
and it
I
happens
mean,
quick.
I have
Yeah.
friends who are no longer with us because of that. I mean, this is real, and the people who really want to get on that whole it's not a safety issue thing, and oh, you're abusing a horse, and I'm sure some people
All she did was smack it on the belly because it tried to kick her.
Yeah.
right, and I'm sure
And they
some
were like,
people
that's
do
abuse.
do abuse horses. I mean, I know that
That
actually
happens,
does
for sure.
happen for sure.
Absolutely.
But people really get away from the whole point that we're trying to make here, is that the horses have to behave safely around us, because they're not gonna die. We're not gonna kill them.
Right.
They're gonna kill us.
Oh my God, that's so brilliant.
We're
Yeah.
the ones that are gonna get hurt here. And we're sort of like the child in the adult scenario. You know, a toddler can't really fatally hurt
Yeah.
an adult
Back,
with
yeah.
his bare hands.
Right.
But an adult could.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a strong example, but
Yeah.
that's really what's happening.
Yeah.
If we're bent down and that horse goes to kick out and
You're
he gets
there.
us right here in the head,
You're done.
could be done.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people. As there's a saying, there's a lot of heroes in the graveyard,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and by heroes, we mean, we'll just ride it out.
Yeah.
We'll,
Well,
we'll just deal with it.
yeah.
You know, the hero of the scenario. And there's a lot of heroes in the graveyard because they didn't take the time to teach the animal and to get that mutual respect of we're going to be friends and we're going to be buddies and we're going to do a lot kind of within close quarters together, but we have to be very aware of each other's space and you cannot use yourself as a weapon against me. You just
Mhm.
can't. You know, it's just extremely, I'm so passionate about it because it is life or death.
It is.
And it is, you know, if you stay in this industry long enough, you're going to know somebody that's either underground, in a wheelchair, or has at least been hospitalized or severely hurt because of maybe just an accident and maybe something that could have been prevented.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think that amateurs really need to take that seriously
Yeah.
because I just don't think, and that's why kind of like going back to like she was talking about on an earlier episode about the schedule or routine that I have my animals on and for a variety of different reasons. And I think when you do have them in your care solely, you do have a very different relationship with them and I don't know if like the average amateur understands that because I think that like you see how quickly things can turn when you're caring for them every day and how important the respect is, how important all of those things come into play even when you're just on the ground, not even on their back.
No.
So
I'm like full freaking out because the horse I was like talking to you about is my parents take care of him. They're 77 and 75.
yeah.
And now I'm like, if he ever needed to come in, like, is he going to kill them? Now I'm like freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, it could very well happen at any moment. I mean, truly.
That's so scary.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but
I mean,
so,
if they behave dangerously, then we're at great risk.
yeah. And my trainer, I don't know. Do you ever know Lee Ullman? Have you ever heard that name?
I've heard that name.
Okay, so she was who I grew up riding with, and if anybody had the opportunity to get to know her, she is a damn hoot.
A character.
She is old school of old school, and so she would always say, you know, don't wait. There are too many nice horses. Don't waste your time on a crazy one.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, truly.
You know, I train them.
Yeah.
You know, but some are, you know, like I said,
Yeah.
you have some that are extra or extreme, and I say there's so many good ones to ride. You don't have
Yeah.
to ride the worst
You
one
don't-
you can find.
You
Yeah.
just don't.
You
And
don't.
so talking about, because through our podcast ventures, we had recently a mutual friend of ours who actually has the stallion that is Anna's dad. So Ashley Adler is a local breeder here. She has a stallion that's showing down at WEC, and I purchased one of her babies, or his babies, who is Anna, who we'll see today. But we talk a lot about mindset and how she breeds for the adult amateur, like mindset, breeding hunters that have a good mind, solid mind. That's really her big passion project. So mindset has really been on kind of a big thread of the most recent podcast. And so talking about the brain of the horses, how, you know, I guess like how quickly when you have a horse in your program, you kind of get a gauge of like where they are. Like
are they good brained or are they just truly like, it's genetic?
Well, some of them you're going to know right off the bat. Some
Yeah.
of them we say they were born broke. They were
Yeah.
just quiet. You know, I've seen some of the videos of your Palomino filly,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I mean, you can tell that's a quiet, sweet horse.
Yeah.
You know, she's not out there trying to do anything bad.
yeah.
She's very happy to be with you.
Mhm.
She's like, what the hell are we doing today? Okay,
Yep.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
she's going to go along with the dog and pony show.
Yeah.
You're going to have others that at first, the first impression will be very different and they'll quickly come around.
Good or bad or both.
They'll
Good.
come around good.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll come around good.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm saying is you'll have one. Let me think of one. Well, one of my personal horses, when I started her, very bad first impression. I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be so difficult. No, she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do that. You know, it's kind of like don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
However, often if the cover is good, they kind of stay good. They'll go through little phases, you know, like they'll have, like anything, they're green moments in their training phases. But usually a good first impression is a good, as far as a young horse goes, is a really good indication. But a bad first impression, on a young horse does not indicate that they will stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually tell owners within 14 days, I can tell you with pretty good accuracy what this is going to go like, what he's going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
and how it'll go. So, and nothing's a guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not 100%, but I've started many that the first 3 or 4 days were tough.
Mm-hmm.
They were tough. They were
Yeah.
reactive. They were really having a hard time thinking. They were just in panic. The steps we had to take were very slow. We had to just kind of micronize, you know, everything. I mean, they didn't learn at the same pace that maybe the past 5 horses had, or, you know, whatever. They're all just so individual. And then all of a sudden, day 5 and 6 hits, and they just all of a sudden they're like a trail horse,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of is this uphill climb from there, you know, and I mean that in a good way. Like we're just, okay, now we're on this progressive track, and he's bonded to me. I know that sounds all natural.
No,
that
but
sounds
yeah.
all natural,
Important.
but we've made it around the corner.
He's figured it out.
He's
It's
figured it
clicked
out.
what the
He's
program
like,
is.
Katie's not the predator anymore. She's here to be my leader and my friend. We're going to do some stuff. I'm going to eat a lot. And this is a pretty good gig.
Pretty
Yeah.
good gig.
You know, but the first 3 or 4 days may not have gone that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I don't like for people to get discouraged if they've got a tough one at first, a young one that's showing a lot of maybe reactive behavior, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, usually an amateur will say, "I think he's crazy," you know, and I mean he might be, he might be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, you know, they come around just fine.
I want to talk about the difference of, you know, we talked about, you know, importing horses and just starting young horses in general, about how do you know when they're getting pushed too hard? Like what type of reactions, like when you get them from a horse that maybe just been, like we kind of talked about, even just getting that claustrophobic of like, here's the halter, this is what we have to do. Like it's feeling that pressure and it's feeling that anxiety of being trained too hard, too fast. So do you think, I just kind of would like to talk about that in general. And
Okay.
then I also want to talk about kind of like, I guess is like situational, like how do you know if that's what that is, or how do you like decipher maybe it's just behavioral?
And are we talking about a young horse?
Yeah.
Or any horse.
I mean, I
your-
guess any horse.
Like her horse is, you know, sweet and fully trained, and she's had him and he's jumping around or whatever, but he goes to a different farm and he gets maybe overfaced with days in a row of training, and it kind of unraveled his brain. Like, was he being bad, or was he overfaced?
communicating to you like,
Overfaced.
this is too much for me.
Let's back up just a little bit, because that can be a little bit of a scattered topic.
Sure. And like I said,
Is
it could be
the-
situational.
Well, certainly. But so let's talk about. Let's kind of pick one. Let's pick a young. When a horse comes to me, your question was, when a horse comes to me, how can I tell if he's been overfaced?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a young horse, usually there's a level of panic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say some things that it will also be true for an older horse as well.
What is young? Just so.
Let's say young to me is different, but young usually for most English people is 3 and 4 years old. Okay. And he didn't have some foundational learning, and he has sort of been just like drug around by his halter and put in small spaces. He's been put in the horse trailer without really knowing anything. He's been put in the wash rack, and he didn't know how to tie. He's been, in some cases, even put in the stall. And he gets in the stall, and he's just a lunatic,
Mm-hmm.
right? He can't figure it out. He doesn't know what's going on. There's usually a sense of panic in the horse. And the horse will be, you can tell he's just looking. And there'll be like erratic behavior. And you can say, oh, my 10-year-old horse does this too. Yes, some of these things will overlap. But your young horses, when you start to work with them, and I say, okay, first of all, I'm gonna do what I got to do just to get you in the round pen. We're not gonna go in the barn. We're not going in a stall. I'm not gonna try to touch your face. I'm doing none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get you in a space small enough where I can work with you, that we can start to have some communication. So you can't be chasing them across Yellowstone, okay? But I don't want to put them in a 12 by 12 box either, where they're looking at me going, "A predator's in here," and I know I can't get away.
Yeah.
Okay. But so a round pen or a very small paddock is a good place to start. And what he'll exhibit is he's going to have his head over the fence or his head looking out. He's going to pace, and he's looking for a leader, which is a horse. To him, it's going to be a horse. He's looking for another horse. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. I'm in a small space. I don't know where I'm at. This person's going to come up. She's going to put something on my head. I don't like my head touched. I don't like my ears touched. I don't want my eyes covered. I don't want, they're, again, being a prey animal and they can see very far. They don't want anything that's going to disrupt their vision even a second if they're super reactive, right? Because they're still looking at you like, are you the lion? Did you just come up out of the bushes to eat me? Again, you got to think about what their mother taught them. Their mama said, when it's time to run, it's time to run. Because if I say the lion's coming, the lion's coming.
Right.
And we got to go. All right. And they look at us like, because we are predators and they're like deer.
Yeah.
So that can be their normal instinct. Again, not like your filly. Okay. But horse with a different type of personality, and one that has been pushed a little bit, or maybe just sort of thrown into the mix of, I'll just start treating it like a show horse when he hasn't been through kindergarten yet. This will be their reaction, is they just kind of see it as a predatory offense. And so they start going, there's got to be a herd leader somewhere. There's got to be a horse somewhere that can help me, that can lead me away from these people, that will take me to the water and show me where the good grasses are, and where can I go? Because that's their evolutionarily instinct, right? So again, how I go about that is I get him in a small enough space, but not a too small space. I don't want him to feel trapped, but again, I can't chase him across 1,000 acres, right? Or else we won't ever have the opportunity to develop our relationship.
Right.
And in some cases, the first week, I have them in either a very small paddock or in the round pen, where I can do small sessions with them, 10 minutes at a time, visiting throughout the day. And then then it just all comes together. A lot of stuff happens in those small sessions, which we can go over that if y'all have specific questions there. But the first thing is the horse has to learn who I am and why I'm there. And who I am is I'm their leader, and why I'm there is to protect them. One thing, since this is the amateur podcast, one thing that I want all amateurs to know, and I can ask you guys this as a question: what is the horse's most important thing? What is most important to the horse? What would your answer be?
Not getting eaten.
That
Food.
she got safety.
They're afraid of everything
They're
because
afraid of
they're
everything
prey.
Because they're prey. Safety.
We are predators. They are prey.
So let's say you just, you wanted to watch National Geographic, and so you're watching the Brumbies in Australia. When that stallion picks his head up like this and he sees the lions coming, all those horses are going to line up behind him, and they're going to say, "Where are we going?" And then they're going to run in the opposite way, and they're going to follow him. One of them's not going to branch off and start running towards the lions. Okay, they're going to follow the herd leader. They're going to follow their leader that they trust in to protect them. Okay, but we're in a domestic situation. So now we have to be that.
Okay, so my question is like most amateurs, like when you have your horse at a boarding facility and you are, which most people do, they are going to look, they have to have like a soul. Do they have like a soul leader? Like, would that be the trainer? Would that be the amateur? Would that be like, who are they looking to? Are they kind of feeling like,
so that can change just like it changes in natural herd dynamics. You can have a stallion come along and kill another stallion and take over that herd, and those horses will band up with him.
Yeah.
So the leader can change
there in the moment.
Right. And you can see that even in just natural animal instinct. But just to go back one point to, you said safety, that was you in a roundabout way. You said safety, not getting eaten.
Yeah.
That's their number one priority.
Yeah.
That horse's number one priority all day is to not get eaten and to feel safe. Okay. And you said food, and a lot of people will say food because we know they love to eat.
Yeah.
They love to eat. Yeah. And they graze 20 hours out of the day, right?
Yeah,
and then we feed them on top of that. And they do love to eat.
And hungry than dead.
But here's a really good example of how you can, often tell that food is not the driving source for the horse. Is how many times have you been trying to load one in the trailer?
They don't care. Yeah.
And you got the food in there, but he won't go.
Yeah.
And there have been people that have said, I tried 6 hours. That horse will starve to death before he gets in that trailer, but it's because he doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel safe in the trailer. He doesn't feel safe. He's not sure that you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the other thing, too. You got a horse that won't jump around. He's stopping at the jumps. Well, why aren't we standing on the other side of the jump shaking food buckets? Well, come on. Come over here and eat. Because food is important, okay? But I think I could stretch to say for any prey animal specifically, because they're low on the food chain, okay? Safety is the most important. So my very first job that I have to get done with a horse before and it's kind of through the training a little bit, he has to feel safe with me. He has to feel safe with me and also know there's a boundary here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Just like he would follow his herd leader in the outback of Australia, I need him to follow me too. And he's not going to run up there and bite the herd leader. He might one time, and the herd leader's going to say, oh, we ain't doing that. Okay. You know what I mean? Like a parent, there's going to be a boundary. There's going to be, no, you don't behave that way.
Yeah.
Okay, now come on, let's keep going.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that sort of relationship. So safety is that number one thing. And the earlier that you build that with the young horse, that's whether he's been pushed or whether he hasn't been pushed. Okay. You asked me about, horses that have been pushed or maybe, didn't have enough foundation for what they were currently being asked to do. You have to develop that with them first, that when they see me, they go, oh, thank goodness Katie's here.
Yeah.
And I can do anything. I can do anything with Katie because it's always okay when I'm with Katie. Katie's not going to let anything eat me.
Is that why a young horse like mine, like when he gets scared, he jumps like towards me? Because he literally will see something that scares him and be like, Mom. And I'm like, holy shit, he's going to kill me.
Right.
Because he's spooking at something and I'm the safety blanket, but I'm a midget compared to him.
Right. So there's a learning curve there in training where they will come to you, particularly like I can give you a very specific example. Most of the time when we do the first saddling, now we've desensitized to the saddle, the horse has seen the saddle, we've thrown it on and off and on and off. They're very used to the saddle, but they're feeling that cinch pressure for the first time. And that cinch gets tight and they go, and then they're like, I'm not sure, something's squeezing me. And a lot of times, so I've already built this relationship with the horse, the safety relationship. They'll hop up to me. And I have to say, no, go away. You can be near me.
You can do this.
You can do this. You can move. Okay, I'm not trying to restrict your movement, but you can't jump on top of me. And in that's one of those learning plateaus where they say, okay, I can still be with Katie and I can be near Katie, but I can't be on top of Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just be amazed when they're young enough what you can teach them to do and how quickly you can teach them their boundary. And not to directly compare them to dogs, but you watch some dog videos and how those dogs are just Johnny on the spot, and they walk they can walk on a tightrope, or they can just how accurate they can be. And when working with a young horse, you would be amazed at how accurate those horses can be, how smart they are, and what they can learn, and what they're willing to do with you. It's so much more than what we give them credit for, I feel like.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So that kind of answer. I mean, I think that answers your question about a young horse that's being pushed with an older one.
Older being like 6.
6.
I don't consider that old, but
Right.
I don't, you know.
To me, it would be old.
Yeah.
Because I handle mine so much.
Yeah.
From,
Yeah.
you know, I like to buy yearlings.
Mhm.
So by 6, I mean, we're doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't expect them to be too goofy.
Yeah.
But in an older horse, you're going to have typically just worse behavior, because let's say they've been pushed at 3 and 4, they're just sort of acting a little goofy and maybe resistant, maybe would be a good word. You can tell maybe a little reactive, but the harder you push without foundation for a lot of horses, maybe for a horse with a reactive, highly energetic personality, at some point he's going to meet you. You know, he's going to meet you with more explosive behavior. So like when they're 3 and 4, sometimes it's just like, oh, he's just being a baby, and then there's baby moments. He's hopping around, he broke the cross ties, he bolted out of the ring, blah blah blah.
He jumped out of the fence.
He jumped out of the fence. Well, by the time he's 6, maybe he's rearing and flipping over.
Mm.
You know, like it just escalates. I thought, you know, with the older horses, you just have a worse behavior,
Reaction.
Yeah.
worse reaction, because you kept pushing the limits without giving them the building blocks to stand on. That's my
You kept overfacing them, and they continue
and they
to
sort of break
escalate.
down on you.
Yeah.
You know, they come apart.
Yeah, and I think Ollie is such a really unique situation. He's been a Corky horse since I got him, and they did have good foundation where we got him from, but there is specific. So the tarp is one.
He draws a line in the
He
sand.
draws a huge line with the tarp. We worked with him as a 3-year-old. So we worked with him as a 3-year-old on it. I have pictures of him standing on it. But then nothing necessarily happened. He was never a fan of it. He then got EPM as a 4-year-old. And I think the EPM, he was very neurologic. And then obviously we weren't in rehab, like working with tarps, when we were trying to build him back up or whatever.
We were just trying to walk straight.
Just
line.
trying to walk
Yeah,
straight, you know what I mean? But he's now back jumping around. We're going to we horse show him. He's great. And that is the one thing that he just comes undone about. And it's really interesting because, you know, I've kind of been taught as an amateur or, you know, whatever, that you just have to keep practicing. You just have to keep practicing. You just have to keep practicing. And I hit a wall, so to speak, as a parent of an animal, and it was starting to affect his performance in the ring, that when we started incorporating tarp work again, his nervous system was at a 10.
Yeah.
He was spooking at everything. Things
Right.
that were there, not there, things that he's done 1,000 times, and it
He
just
fully unraveled.
just fully unravels.
Do you know why that happened?
Do I know why that happened?
'Cause
Like in this,
Because the tarp was not safe, and then you became not the leader of safety.
That's part of it. That's part of it. So you're there. So even a trainer has that moment with, like, let's say I was working with that horse with the tarp.
Mhm.
Okay, I would be in that moment with him where he would be like, nothing's safe here.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to get to a point. I would have to get to that 1% improvement, because they'll do that. They'll get rattled about something, and then if the session ends not good enough, they'll go out of the, then they leave the ring or the round pen or the paddock or wherever they are, and they're, all of a sudden they're spooking at everything. They're
Even
looking
she
at
couldn't save me.
they're looking at the flower bed. They're looking
Yeah.
at this. They're looking at that. And when that happens, that lets you, the reason I asked you that question, I like to ask questions. But
Yeah.
the reason I ask you that question is because that is the true blue reason. Like, that lets you know right there for sure you did not get the point across about the tarp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want all amateurs to know this. What that means is that does not mean that the tarp had to be perfect that day,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't make enough progress with it that day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or you didn't end on the right note. You didn't have the right feel and timing for the situation. And that's okay because you can't know everything.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a trainer. You can't know everything.
Yeah.
But when that horse leaves the ring and then but what you did know was that something was wrong because you were like, okay, the rest of his life got affected. When I work on the tarp, it affects the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But all that means is that when you're working on the tarp, you're not getting to that sweet spot where we say,
That was good enough.
that was good enough.
Mm-hmm.
He
You would be out there for like 5 hours, I think,
could maybe.
for sure.
A lot of people tell me that. I haven't had that experience yet, but a lot of people tell me that. Got a lot of tricks up my sleeve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and and I don't ever start day one with their worst enemy.
No.
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah. No.
And the other thing that is just how horses are, and my last personal horse, she's passed away now, but her nemesis was the tarp.
Mm.
It is funny. I've trained 100 horses to the tarp,
Mhm.
and I trained her to the tarp.
Mm-hmm.
But that was her maintenance exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't matter. I could bring her out if I wanted to work on the tarp every single day. That was fine. I could do that, but it was going to take 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to go to the tarp.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas all the other horses, everything else I work with after I work with them, I mean, at the end of their school, they go straight to the tarp. They go sit and stand on the tarp. They love the tarp.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves the tarp. The tarp is a great place.
Yeah.
They want to go rest on the tarp, eat the tarp, flop the tarp around.
Yeah.
They love it. But all horses will usually have they'll have their nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
Where we go wrong is when we allow all these nemesises and all these excuses. And sometimes amateurs will do that. They'll have this long list of, oh, well, he won't. And there'll be this long list of things the horse doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And the list of things that the horse does do is very short.
Yeah.
And we want to reverse that. So we're not trying to make, no animal's going to be perfect. And no human's going to be perfect. Like, let's say your guy you're talking about, maybe the tarp's the only thing. Okay. And
The tarp is pretty much the only thing.
And you're like, I just want that to get better. If it's never
chickens?
perfect.
The chickens
I'm
are not
scared
a
of
thing.
chickens. I'm not even going to touch on that.
I think the chickens were due to him being exposed to the tarp.
Anyways,
But
I don't know.
But a lot of times it'll be, some people will say he hates pink flowers, when we're out there jumping. Or he hates blue flowers. Okay, maybe so. Okay, and there's things at home. Maybe we're going to fill the ring up, and every jump in the ring is going to have blue flowers at it.
100%.
There's things we can help to desensitize and just offer them more practice at it.
Right.
So that's how we kind of do that in our career,
for sure.
right? But what we don't want to happen is we don't want to have a whole list of tarps.
Right. Well, and the reason I ask about the tarp specifically is because the way that I was always taught about something like that, like a hole in a horse's training like that, is that you just keep exposing them to it. So Ollie, and I feel like I've had a lot of experience that are similar like that, but for some reason, it seems like this is one that I just don't quite understand. And he would become dangerous if we would hang feed bags from his stall, or he used to be afraid of the little white boxes that set up poles and stuff, like you put poles on it. We have them in the ring now,
Like little cavaletti
stands. He used to be afraid of those. We put him in a stall, he got over it, it was fine. But for some reason, if you were to hang, we used to do, we did this has been years in the making. We would hang feed bags. I would get ghosts and things for Halloween and hang them places. And he genuinely will come out of his skin to the point where I feel like he would probably bust through the stall and try to get out.
It looks very strange to them.
Yeah. So that's when and it also kind of circles back to like being pushing them too far. Like, so, and like my trainer would get like a plastic bag and like, start waving it. Like it's the sound specifically that he just does not like, whether it's a tarp, plastic bag, if you start like doing a bag like that, he will not love it. So all of those like very like sound oriented things are what he comes unraveled about. Now you can build a barn that he's living in, do a nail gun, saw, whatever, could care less. But for some reason, that specific sound, he just comes undone. And I honestly have just kind of adapted to it and just accepted that as who he is. It's never become like a dangerous situation. Like if we're at a horse show and somebody goes like that, and like, it's not like he's going to rear up and flip over. He doesn't run away from it. It hasn't affected us in a way that is dangerous and or, affecting our training. So
You had to take him out of a training facility because of it.
what do you mean?
You had to bring him home from where he was getting full training because he unraveled.
Yeah, no, I know. Because she was dealing with the tarp and dealing with the bags. She told me she was. And that's what I was saying, that when he starts getting, like, his nervous system gets at a 10, is that it's really hard to get him back.
Right.
So like,
Do they lose trust in like places?
and do they lose trust in the people that they once trusted?
They can.
Yeah.
For sure. You can do the wrong things.
Yeah.
And you can untrain a horse.
Yeah.
For sure. And you can take all of his confidence away. Absolutely. And it's funny you're talking about bags and tarps, because if you watch any of my videos, it's all the time. It's
Yeah, no, I
bag and tarp
know.
all the time. And like,
Yeah.
we don't get on a colt until he's broke to the bag.
Yeah.
I will not ride them
Yeah.
unless they are bag broke.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
No, I think
Because
that's
there's
a good call.
because most horses, the nemesis is the bag at first.
Mm-hmm.
All horses are scared of a plastic sack.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Yeah.
Okay. At first, until they're properly desensitized to it.
Mm-hmm.
Properly, keyword there. And some take longer than others.
Mhm.
Some takes an hour, some takes a week. It doesn't, but you get there. And a lot of people like you, like you just said, it hasn't affected your training and your life yet, and I hope it never does.
Yeah.
Because not every horse has to be trained to a plastic sack. I'm
Yeah.
certainly not saying that. But for me, when I first made Building Better Hunters, I actually made it for me
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted some broke shit to ride.
Hell yeah.
Okay. It just turned out everybody else did too. Okay. So it became this, it blew up. It was
Yeah.
neat. It was really kind of this neat process. But, over the last 30 years, have I been standing ringside and a tent
Flies
blew over
100%.
and almost everybody dies?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the survivor there.
Yeah.
Because my horse drags a tarp. You can flap a tarp at him. That's
Mhm.
very much like a horse show tent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I try to kind of bond those things together because there's a lot of people that'll say, I don't see how this applies to me, and maybe it won't,
Yeah.
and maybe it never will, and that's great, and I hope everybody long safe rides. But there's going to be some people that have been like, I got bucked off last weekend when the tent fell over, and I want to work on desensitizing. I want my
Mhm.
horse to be so desensitized, and it's just going to give me more confidence when I'm standing ringside and a little storm blows up.
But you're not
or-
going to die.
or whatever the deal is. Or maybe this person wants to trail ride and they come up on, I don't know if you guys trail ride a lot, but if you go through various parts of the country, you'll come up on like all kinds of stuff. Shooting houses, hunting shooting houses. You'll come up on an old car, something the horse doesn't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's making a noise. Maybe it's just an object. Maybe it's, we have this barn next to my farm at home, and the buzzards like to get on top of the barn and slide down the roof with their claws. And it sounds like a Stephen King movie happening next door. And some of the horses are like, they're
Yeah.
like, what in the world? But, I think of what brings me confidence. myself, being a professional that's had bad accidents, that's been crippled, that's been laid out of work for 8 years. Like I've been seriously hurt before. What brings me confidence when I am walking into the show ring is all this preparation that I'm talking about now. And when I feel like I can cover my horse up with that tarp and wave it all around and he's not spooky and he can do all these different things, well, then what's so scary about being at the horse show?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
I'm just going out here and jump some jumps.
Yeah.
You know, like they think that wooden box looks like nothing compared to a tarp.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
so that's what I do to help me and to try to help others. But it's not, I certainly wouldn't sit here and say what I do is 100% necessary, but it does bring people a lot of confidence, and it can educate your horse on just as
Outside
many things as
factors.
possible, so that when you do go to the horse show, that looks like the most simple, boring thing.
Yeah.
And they're just sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're sleeping, and then you guys go ride them around, and then you go have margaritas after.
Hell
and it's
yeah.
just a great time.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to produce for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an old horse. He sent me to the hospital at age 28.
He was 28 or you were 28?
He's 28. I was pregnant. Went to the hospital. Anyways, he is a show horse. From the day I bought him to retirement, that horse goes in a ring and behaves well. The minute you walk out of a ring, in a trail, around anything that is outside of a ring, he's gone.
Right.
He spooks, spins, and you're done.
Right.
Is that like, do you find that experience, like these show horses have been trained to be show horses and they go from barn to ring, show,
They
back
do.
to the barn,
They do
and
one thing.
he does one thing,
They do one thing.
and anything else is like, I mean, she's like, let's go on a trail ride. I am,
You can't go.
no, because he is
Both of your
ingrained.
horses do that.
They are both show horses. They
Yeah.
are both, not my young one. My young one will do whatever, but my two show horses go from the barn to the ring, and that is it.
Yes.
You try to take them on a trail ride, and they spin and go right back to the barn.
We see that a lot. I've experienced that my whole life. And then, you know, the show horse, the traditional show horse will be trained to do one thing. And as long as you're doing that one thing,
You're
it's
safe.
fine.
Yeah.
But I want more room for error than that. For me,
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, same.
I do. Because I'm telling you what, I turned 40 this year and things are different. Things are different now. I need to be able to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just flat out do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a professional, and I'll sit here and say it right here. I need to be able to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not
Mhm.
going to the Olympics. Don't want to. Like none of those things.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a lot of education behind me. And yes, I'm a professional, but I'm not trying to be Jesus and walk on water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And I need to create an animal that goes, okay, that's what I need.
And before I
Also-
close out, I just want to say that the importance of, obviously we have you on because we value everything that you're doing. And I just want amateurs to truly understand how valuable your service is and
Yeah.
what you're providing the community, because we talked about saving lives. We talked about confidence. We talked about
Yeah.
overcoming all of these things. And I just really want to, again, hit that home
Yeah.
so that people understand.
Don't be the girl that owns a show horse that can't go outside the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do it.
I really appreciate it. I just want
Yeah.
to make a difference in my little corner. So
I love it. Well,
we're out
thank
here
you for
doing it.
coming on.
Thank you.
thank you guys.